Coming up on Can What You Grow, we're going to turn these pears into a delicious pear sauce. Welcome to Can What You Grow. I'm Holly Pear. Today we're going to make pear sauce, and pear sauce is basically the same as applesauce. We just happen to have a pear tree on our property, and so we make pear sauce instead of applesauce. One thing to keep in mind is that these pears are natural as intended, so you're going to get some funny ones that have like little knots in them. We don't use that knotted part because it's really tough and kind of gritty, so we'll just use the sides of this one. Another thing is that this pear may have a bad spot, but it's not going to be bad in general, so we're just going to cut that part off. We'll put that in the compost, and then we'll go ahead and use the rest of the pear. So we're just basically chopping them right now, and one thing we've been doing is setting them aside for pear, the cores and kind of the extra parts. We've been setting those aside for pear fruit scrap vinegar, and so that's basically, it's a fermented vinegar, a raw vinegar, basically kind of similar to like a raw apple cider vinegar. So that's what we've been doing. And then what you do is you get your pears cut up. The recipe starts at 8 pounds, and then you cut them up, and then you're going to cook them down with some water and lemon juice, and then we're going to run them through the food mill to separate out the skins. And then we cook it down a little bit more, add some flavor. So that's what we're going to get started with here. Okay, so here's what we're doing now. We got it on the stove, and we're going to let this cook down so that it becomes softer. So we're adding a few different things. We're adding some water. So here's some water, and this will be in the show notes. It's 2 cups of water. And that's basically so on the bottom of the pan that they don't burn. And then we're going to add some lemon juice, and you want to use bottled lemon juice. You could probably use fresh, because you're not relying on this for the acidity. You're just using it to help keep the pears kind of fresh while they're cooking. So you need a 1/4 cup of that. Let's see here. Alright, and then when you do this, just kind of distribute it a little more evenly around. Okay, so then what we're going to do is we're going to let this cook down, and we're going to stir it. While it cooks down, the pears are going to soften up. Then we're going to run them through the food mill. So the riper the pears, the less you have to let it cook down, because then they're ready to go. Okay. So as you can see, it's coming through nicely here. That's just some of the water, but if you look there, it's getting the sauce now. And then the skins are going to come out pretty soon out the back here. Okay, so we're using what's called the pumpkin or the squash screen for our grinder. It's a little bit thicker of a mesh. Alright, so we're going to let this cook down now, but we're going to add our sugar, and then we're going to add some cinnamon sticks so we can get some cinnamon flavor. So this is a cup and a 1/4 sugar. You could do anywhere from 3/4 cups to 1 1/4 cups. You don't have to add any sugar if you don't want, but we're adding sugar since these pears were kind of at a variation of ripeness. So some were sweeter and some were more bitter. So we're going to give it some sugar here. And you can add brown sugar too if you want. We're probably going to try that with the next batch. Then as far as the cinnamon sticks go, I would just start with 2, and then you could always add a little bit more powdered cinnamon if you wanted to, but these are pretty strong, so I'm just going to add the 2 while it cooks. Yeah, that sounds good. So we're going to let it cook down. It's a good consistency right now, but we want to get a little bit of that water out of there and just let it warm up before we start canning. We chose to use the squash pumpkin screen because we felt if we used like the tomato one or the juicing one, it would be too juicy. It would get rid of some of that sauciness, some of that natural thickness that applesauce has. So we wanted to leave that on. There are a few skins in there, but it's enough where you can can it just fine, and it's got that natural apple pear sauce thing going on. Okay, so we've got it cooked down to where we want it. It's got a nice little cinnamon flavor, so we're going to get it jarred up here. Okay, so we're ready to go here. We got it cooked down, and we're ready to jar it. So it's going to have a 1/2 inch headspace, and the pints cook for 15 minutes. It has a nice subtle cinnamon flavor to it, not too strong. I'd rather, have to maybe add cinnamon to it, sprinkle a little cinnamon on top when I want to eat it, than have to regret that I added too much at the time of canning. So, good on that. Get our wipe wiped off here. And we got a lid. Got a ring. Okay. So we get the rest of these going and in the canner. Okay, so our 15 minutes is up. We're going to get these on the towel here. Okay, so there's our last one here. And some of them already begin to seal, which is good. So there we have it. It was a real quick 7 pints of pear sauce or applesauce, and you're ready to go. It'll be delicious on a cold winter night. Oh, I'm Holly Baird, and this has been Canning What You Grow. For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.